Welcome to Storytime. Get ready, navigate for quick wisdom of countless stories. Let's dive into the world of knowledge together and explore. Jack and the Beanstalk, a modern twist. Once upon a time, in a quaint little village nestled between rolling hills and endless fields, lived a young lad named Jack. Jack wasn't your ordinary boy. He had a knack for getting into the most curious predicaments. His mother often said that his brain was as fertile as the fields they farmed, though not always in the most practical sense. Jack, for his part, was quite content with his life, except for one minor detail. Their family farm was in serious financial straits. The crops were wilting, the cows were out of milk, and the only thing that seemed to grow was Jack's penchant for mishaps. One blustery morning, as Jack trudged to the market with a cow named Bessie in tow, his mother had given him a stern lecture. "Jack, we need money and we need it now. The farm is nearly bankrupt, and I can't milk Bessie anymore. She's got more wrinkles than I do, and that's saying something." Jack, ever the optimist, patted Bessie affectionately and replied, "Don't worry, Mom. I've got a plan. I'll trade Bessie for something that'll turn our fortunes around. Maybe even a pot of gold." At the market, Jack encountered a peculiar old man with a beard so long it looked like it could double as a mop. The man wore a suit that seemed to be made of the shiniest fabric Jack had ever seen, like he was wrapped in a disco ball. His eyes twinkled with a mischievous glint as he approached Jack. "Ah, young man," the old fellow said, "I see you're trying to sell your cow. How about I trade you these magic beans for her?" Jack, always ready for an adventure, raised an eyebrow. "Magic beans? Really? How do I know they're magic?" The old man chuckled. "Well, you don't, but trust me, they're magical. In fact, they're the beans of legends." Jack looked at Bessie, who seemed to regard the old man with an equal amount of skepticism. Nonetheless, he was captivated by the prospect of magic beans. He thought, what could go wrong? So he made the trade. When Jack arrived home, his mother was less than thrilled. "Magic beans? Are you serious, Jack? I told you to bring back something valuable, not a handful of overpriced legumes." Defeated and hungry, Jack placed the beans on the kitchen table and went to bed with his stomach growling louder than a freight train. The next morning, he awoke to find the beans had sprouted overnight into an enormous beanstalk that reached up into the clouds. Jack's eyes widened in amazement as he stared at the beanstalk, which now loomed like a green skyscraper outside his window. Without a second thought, Jack decided to climb the beanstalk. After all, who wouldn't be tempted by the promise of a sky-high adventure? He began the ascent, each step accompanied by a chorus of creaks and groans from the beanstalk. As he climbed higher and higher, he marveled at the clouds drifting past him. "This is going to be epic," he shouted to the sky, though it echoed back with an annoyed shush. Finally, Jack reached the top of the beanstalk and stepped into a land that looked like it had been plucked straight from a storybook. Giant flowers that could double as sun loungers, rivers of sparkling lemonade, and clouds made of cotton candy stretched as far as the eye could see. It was a paradise, except for one minor detail. There was a gigantic castle perched on a hill, and Jack could already hear the sounds of a rather grumpy giant bellowing inside. Jack tiptoed toward the castle, avoiding the scattered remnants of giant-sized lunchboxes and enormous footprints. As he approached, he noticed the castle door was slightly ajar. He slipped inside and was immediately struck by the grandeur of the place. Golden chandeliers, marble floors, and walls adorned with portraits of giants looking rather pompous. The kitchen was where the real adventure began. There, on a massive table, were three objects of interest: a golden harp, a hen that laid golden eggs, and a large sack of coins. Jack's eyes widened at the sight. "Jackpot," he thought, and reached for the golden harp. However, just as he was about to grab it, a loud roar shook the castle. "Fee-fi-fo-fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." Jack froze. The giant, who was clearly not a fan of surprises, stomped into the kitchen. He was a sight to behold, taller than any skyscraper, with a beard that seemed to have its own personality. He wore a tunic made of the finest velvet, and his shoes were so shiny they could be used as mirrors. Panicked, Jack ducked behind the table, holding his breath. The giant muttered to himself, "I must have left the oven on again, and I need to fix that leaky faucet." He then proceeded to grumble about the exorbitant amount of food he had to eat. "Why can't the cooks understand that I'm on a diet? Too many calories." Once the giant left for his bath, accompanied by the sound of a squeaky rubber duck, Jack decided it was his chance to make a quick getaway. He snatched the golden harp, the hen, and as many coins as he could carry. Just as he was about to leave, the harp started to play a lullaby. "Oh no," Jack thought. "This is not good." Sure enough, the giant came charging back, dripping wet and furious. "Who dares to steal my belongings?" he bellowed, shaking the very foundations of the castle. Jack dashed toward the Beanstalk, the giant in hot pursuit. The hen clucked nervously, and the harp played an increasingly frantic tune. Jack scrambled down the Beanstalk with the giant's roars echoing behind him. When he reached the bottom, he immediately called to his mother for help. "Mom, I need an axe. Quick!" Jack's mother, seeing the giant's enormous shadow looming overhead, grabbed an axe from the shed and started hacking at the Beanstalk. With a resounding crash, the Beanstalk tumbled down, and the giant fell with it, landing with an earth-shaking thud in a nearby field. Fortunately, the giant's landing was cushioned by a pile of hay, so he was knocked out cold but not harmed. Jack and his mother, now in possession of a golden harp, a hen that laid golden eggs, and a sack full of coins, were overjoyed. They sold the harp and the coins and lived comfortably, though they kept the hen's golden eggs as a special treat. The giant, once he regained consciousness, found himself rather disoriented and decided to enroll in a self-improvement course. He learned about healthy eating habits, anger management, and even took up gardening. He became a friendly giant, known for hosting giant-sized picnics for the local villagers. Jack and his mother lived happily ever after, though they always chuckled at the memory of the grumpy giant and his melodious harp. And every so often, Jack would glance at the Beanstalk stump and wonder if there were any other magical adventures waiting in the clouds. And so, the tale of Jack and the Beanstalk became a legend, proof that sometimes the most extraordinary adventures start with something as simple as a handful of beans and a whole lot of courage. The end. Thanks for tuning in. For more enlightening content and a detailed summary, visit www.mybooksummary.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. Let's inspire and empower each other. Subscribe to our channel and share our videos with your friends and family.